Late date. KBC English Service. KBC English Service. Are you an aspiring candidate in the upcoming general elections? Do you want your agenda and manifesto to reach your voters effectively? At KBC, we have the most comprehensive and credible online platform that has profiles of all prospective candidates. Log on to www.kbc.co.ke/2022 aspirants and let Kenyans know more about you, your past achievements, your manifesto, and your development agenda once you get elected to office. What's more, the website is easy to navigate. We will create your profile, post pictures and short videos with your campaign messages at affordable hosting fees. Log on to www.kbc.co.ke/2022 aspirants today and establish your brand authority as we lead towards the forthcoming general elections.
On cinemas and theatre this episode.
Courage or die in cowardice.
Join me, Jacqueline Masharia, as we review the film Mission to Rescue.
Good evening and welcome. You are just in time for the latest in Kenya and beyond. Borders on Prime edition. Karibu sana to the bulletin.
We'll be telling you about what has been happening across the country. Plus, our interview tonight from a corporate leader to politics. Ronald Kioria, the former sports, or rather been in Sport Pesa and now running for Kasarani parliamentary seat. We want to know why he moves from the corporate world to politics. What does he intend to change in Kasarani? That coming up a little bit later, but for now, the highlights. KCP examinations come to a close. 3 incidents of malpractices reported.
His Excellency President Uhuru Kenyatta has waived all that fees. You will be registered for free. So, hakuna maneno ya 5,800.
Reining in on border riders. Government changes stacked. And handshake. 4 years and counting. And Wangeshi is a sign language interpreter. My name is John Jacob Kioria. Welcome to Prime Edition.
And my name is Serfine Achieng Oma. Let's kickstart this with our top story. Education Cabinet Secretary Professor George Magoha says only 3 cases of exam malpractice have been reported so far as the Kenya Certificate of Primary Education exams came to an end Wednesday.
Magoha at the same time said the examination results will be out within the next 14 days.
Wednesday marked the last day of the Kenya Certificate of Primary Education Examination 2021. The exercise saw over 1.2 million candidates write the exam, with social studies paper closing the 2021 KCP examination chapter. Education Cabinet Secretary Professor George Magoha, who was at Old Kibra, noting that the exercise was smooth, with only 3 cases of exam malpractice reported.
Abraza Academy is in Marsabit, in Sololo, sub-county in Marsabit. And the center manager there took an image of the paper and dispatched it to others. And he has now been arrested and is in police custody. And we are not going to have mercy with him because he had a choice to do that. Yesterday in Turkana, at Kadugili Primary School, was also found with a cell phone with prepared answer sheets. And he is also in custody as we speak.
Magoha says that the marking exercise will be over in the next 2 weeks.
We have already completed marking of all the papers in Nairobi that were done up to yesterday. I think if we start counting today, let us challenge each other that the results will come in the inside of 14 days.
In Kisumu County, 2 candidates missed the examination under unclear circumstances.
They even gave me the numbers of the parents. Some parents say they cannot trace their children, which is unfortunate. That is in one case. I think that was at Obambo Secondary School. I also went to a school in Barkorwa, where I even got to talk to the parent. But when the parent discovered that I was from the Kenya National Examinations Council, they shut off the phone and did talk again.
The Kenya Institute of Curriculum Development Director Professor Charles Ongondo urging parents to keep a keen eye on their children to ensure 100% transition rate to secondary school. Meanwhile, a candidate from Kipcherere Primary School in Baringo North sat for her KCP at Baringo Referral Hospital after delivering a baby.
Who came to this hospital on 4th with labor pains. We managed the patient. She delivered on 5th.
Inmates at Kangeta Prison have expressed their gratitude for getting the chance to sit their KCP exams. The prisoners hoping to get a chance to further their studies once the results are out.
Wametuahidi wakitoka jela wenye wanamaliza kifungo hivi karibuni watatumia hizo vyeti zao kutafuta kazi na kuendeleza masomo, especially wa join polytechnics.
Meanwhile, Coast Regional Commissioner John Elungata says that the national exercise was without major hitches, with only 2 cases of pregnancy recorded in Kilifi and Kipevu.
Just 2 out of the 109,000 candidates that sat this exam. So you can see that we have traveled a long way.
Nancy Okware, Prime Edition.
Now, in the meantime, President Uhuru Kenyatta has waived the 5,800 shillings registration fee required by the National Transport and Safety Authority, NTSA, for border operators to be issued with a riding license. Interior CS Dr. Fred Matiang'i said beginning 21st March this year, the government will post 52 registration centres across the country for border riders to register their motorcycles, form SACCOs, and obtain licenses for them to be in businesses, as Ben Chumba now reports.
It is a major reprieve for over 2.4 million border riders across the country as the government announces free registration exercise for all riders beginning 21st March this year.
From 21st of this month, this good man is going to post 52 registration centers across the country. In every one of our 52 Huduma centers in the country, we'll begin the process of registering border riders. You go there and be registered. You'll fill a form. You'll be registered, and after you've been registered, you'll be given a smart rider's license.
In a move to bring sanity in the border sector, all riders are further expected to join SACCOs and get a smart riding license within 60 days.
From 21st of this month, this good man is going to post 52 registration centers across the country. In every one of our 52 Huduma centers in the country, we'll begin the process of registering border riders. You go there and be registered. You'll fill a form, you'll be registered, and after you've been registered, you'll be given a smart rider's license.
Addressing a consultative meeting with officials of the Border Association of Kenya at the Kenyatta International Convention Center, KICC, Interior Cabinet Secretary Dr. Fred Matiang'i said the government will embark on fresh vetting of boda riders to eliminate rogue elements in the sector. In the meeting attended by Inspector General of Police Hilary Mutiambai, politicians were accused of frustrating efforts of bringing sanity in the boda sector.
Where people go, they bribe these boda riders around, they get crowds of them, a swarm of them, they block roads, or they carry them in an effort to show how popular they are. This cheap populism. They try to pretend that they are riding with them. Oh, these are our people. This is in Jotukwahapa. They take them, buy them illicit liquor and so on. Then they take them to place. They tell them, oh, shout at that one when they speak. Don't allow that one to speak.
So it is upon us now to return the favor and ensure that whatever we do inaandamana na maadili ya sheria za nchi. Simple. And we'll have a good sector, clean, yenye kila mtu atajivunia kama Mkenya kuwa part of it.
A day after the president ordered for immediate countrywide crackdown on boda operators, a spot check at the Nairobi Central Business District by Channel 1 showed fewer boda riders, unlike on a normal day when more than a dozen boda riders can be found in town.
They are driving carelessly, and so I prefer no bodas in town.
Saizi naona kama kuko sawa, kuko shwari, kwa sababu hata hawafuati sheria za barabara.
Nimetoka mbali, nimetoka huko Coops office, huko nimetembea, hakuna pikipiki, sasa inabidi ushukue gari yenyewe jam, ndio hizo sasa.
Sasa hii ni kwa delivery, hii bag inachokesha tu, you have to walk around the town. Niendea zile tunaendea zingine nikipeleka, then nirudi mpaka huko juu hapa hill. Hiyo ni shida tupu.
Meanwhile, 16 persons believed to be boda riders will spend the night at Gigiri police station awaiting a ruling on their detention for 20 days pending investigations. The investigating officer Livon Mwanzia says they need more time to conduct the investigations. The 16 are facing sexual assault and robbery with violence charges. Ben Chumba, Prime Edition.
Thank you, Chumba, for that report. Of course, we'll keep updating you on how this crackdown continues to develop. Moving on, President Uhuru Kenyatta has called on the international community to lift sanctions against Zimbabwe, terming them illegal and unfair. The president, who was hosting his counterpart from Zimbabwe, Emmerson Mnangagwa, who is in Nairobi for a 2-day visit, claimed the people of Zimbabwe continue to feel the weight of the sanctions through increased prices of basic commodities.
The South African state has for years suffered the effects of sanctions imposed during the reign of late President Robert Mugabe. Even after the deposing of Mugabe and the rise of Emmerson Mnangagwa, not much has improved in terms of Zimbabwe's diplomatic standing with the West. Wednesday morning, Mnangagwa was in State House, keen to use Kenya's position at the UN Security Council to plead his case. A guard of honor a 21-gun salute, and down to business. After negotiations and the signing of 7 memoranda of understanding between Harare and Nairobi, President Kenyatta led the charge in asking the international community to lift the sanctions against Zimbabwe.
And we continue to call on the international community to remove these illegal sanctions.
President Kenyatta arguing that the people of Zimbabwe were bearing the brunt of the sanctions that have lasted for years.
We have also continued to emphasize our strong determination to continue with our support of Zimbabwe against the illegal sanctions that have been imposed on that country and continue to cause undue problems, issues, and trouble for the people of Zimbabwe. And this we consider to be unfair, for these hardships are artificially created.
I also took the opportunity to thank my brother, His Excellency President Kenyatta, the government and people of Kenya for warmly welcoming the members of the Shona community into the Kenyan family by granting them citizenship status in Kenya. I thank Kenya for this support and solidarity for Zimbabwe in the call for the unconditional removal of unilateral sanctions that were imposed on Zimbabwe by some Western countries.
With the volume of trade between the two COMESA partners said to be near insignificant, the two heads of state pledged to improve the trade relations between the countries and cooperate on the areas of mutual interest. And to some politics, ODM leader Raila Odinga has assured residents of Wajir County of enhanced security and improved infrastructure if elected president in the August polls. Speaking during an Azimio la Umoja rally in Wajir town, Raila promised to prioritize completion of the Isiolo, Modogashe, Wajir, Mandera highway. Political leaders from the region drummed up support for Raila Odinga, terming him a defender of the marginalized.
The Azimio la Umoja Brigade took its presidential campaigns to Wajir County, where discussions centered on developing the northern frontier.
Kwa mfano sasa kama mfugo inakufa kwa sababu ya ukosefu ya maji, sio hawana chochote cha kukula. Hiyo jamii yote, kila jamii itapata kila mwezi kutoka serikali shilingi 6,000.
Presidential hopeful Raila Odinga promised to enhance security and improve infrastructure in northeastern region. Odinga further spoke of investing in livestock sector as a strategy to empower the pastoral communities.
Ndege itakuwa inatoka hapa na nyama kupeleka kule Arabuni, kule Dubai, na mpaka Ulaya, sawa? Alafu tutajenga hapa kiwanda kubwa ya leather ya kutumia ile ngozi ya ng'ombe na mbuzi na kondoo, tunatengeneza nayo leather ya kutengeneza nayo viatu.
Political leaders from the region drummed up support for Raila Odinga, describing him as a defender for those living in marginalized areas.
Baba ni baba ya vijana, baba ni baba ya wananchi wote, baba ni baba ya wanyonge, wa mama, wa malaku, sindio?
Raya nani? Baba the fifth, Baba the fifth, Baba the fifth, Baba the fifth.
Tunakwambia kura ya Wajir yote ni yako, na bila shaka umetupatia wizara wakati ulikuwa prime minister, na leo ukikuwa president na hakika wizara hiyo itarudi.
Yisho Kiwashira, Prime Edition.
Now, staying with politics, Kenya Kwanza says it will lower the cost of living if it ascends to power. The Alliance's brigade, who traversed the Tana River County to promote the bottom-up economic model, said Kenyans are burdened with the high cost of basic commodities.
Babu, tumepata wageni. Na mimi nataka niongee bila uoga. Niseme hivi. Sisi kama Kenya Kwanza, we do not believe in the politics of betrayal and deceit.
Nimekuja hapa mara nyingi kufanya siasa, lakini ile siasa ya zamani ambao tulikuwa tunapikia mtu kwa sababu ni mtu, tunataka kuacha, tupike kura kwa yule mtu ambaye atasaidia kuinua maisha yenu na maisha ya watoto wenu. Ndiyo sisi tunasema kama Kenya Kwanza tutaangazia mwananchi wa kawaida, kurudisha ukarama ya maisha ili mwananchi aweze kujimudu. Katika serikali yetu ya awamu ya 5,
now the historic handshake between President Uhuru Kenyatta and ODM leader Raila Odinga in 2018 set the country on a path of healing after the divisive 2017 general election. The events of the day would birth the Building Bridges Initiative task force that proposed amendments to the constitution through a 9-point agenda in efforts to end the cycle of violence in the country. 4 years since that famous handshake, we look at the turbulent journey to amend the constitution and the political events that characterized the BBI process.
9th of March 2018 at the steps of Harambee House, a historic event that saw President Uhuru Kenyatta and his nemesis turned ally Raila Odinga shake hands to signify their entry into a political truce.
This country of Kenya is greater than any one individual, and that for this country to come together, leaders must come together.
Na tumesema mgawanyiko ambayo imekuwako tangu uhuru mpaka leo itakwisha hapa na sisi.
The handshake then gave birth to the Building Bridges Initiative, midwifed by a 14-member task force led by the late Garissa Senator Yusuf Haji, a task force that embarked on a 2-year journey to collect views from Kenyans on 9 main issues that needed to be addressed to end the cycle of violence in the country, such as corruption, ethnic antagonism, and divisive elections. The BBI push was, however, not devoid of critics, with the Deputy President William Ruto and his allies poking holes into the constitutional amendment process, which they claimed was a plot to serve selfish political interests.
Ati kwanza twende tupange kubadilisha katiba, ati tuongeze mamlaka ya viongozi, ati tuongeze vyeo ya viongozi. Mimi ninawaambia jameni, ngojeni kwanza tupange ajira ya hawa vijana.
The push and pull culminating in a fierce legal battle which saw the High Court's 5-judge bench led by Professor Joel Ngugi declare the process null and void, ruling, among others, that the President cannot initiate the process to change the Constitution through a popular initiative.
Neither the President nor any state organ is permitted under our Constitution to initiate constitutional amendments using the popular initiative route.
On the 20th of August 2021, a 7-judge bench of the Court of Appeal, also in a majority decision, dealt another blow to the BBI process after upholding the ruling by the High Court.
We uphold the judgment of the High Court. And although it encountered some legal obstacles, I say again today that BBI is just a dream deferred. One day, someday, it will happen.
Sasa hawa jamaa wameruka wamesema kwenda pande nyingine. Tunasema sawa. Kuvunjika kwa mwiko sio mwisho wa upishi.
The Attorney General and the BBI Secretariat launched yet another appeal at the Supreme Court, which saw the judges face a Herculean task, balancing many competing interests regarding the constitutional changes. The decision by the court, however, did not hold the BBI brigade as it morphed into the Azimio la Umoja initiative that later turned into a movement, then a coalition, with Jubilee and ODM as the key partners. The hallmark of this partnership, however, was the endorsement of ODM leader Raila Odinga's presidential bid by Jubilee Party leader President Uhuru Kenyatta in the 2022 general election. This development was solidified when Jubilee and ODM held their national delegates conference on the same day, and both were graced by the head of state and the former premier.
Na ndipo leo mimi niko hapa mbele yenu nikiwaomba ruksa ya kufanya kazi na vyama tofauti tofauti ambavyo fikira zao zinalingana na zetu, ambazo fikira zao ni za kututafutia amani na umoja katika taifa letu. Fikira zao ni za kulete haki kwa kila mwananchi bila kubagua wewe umetoka wapi na umezaliwa wapi na wewe ni nani.
Uhuru is here, is a Kenyan, and he has a right to live. Even if he is not a president, he is very, very capable to work for the people of Kenya in other capacity.
At the Jubilee NDC, Deputy President William Ruto, who maintained his opposition to the handshake, was edged out of the party hierarchy.
That all members of Jubilee Party that have openly promoted the policies and or ideologies of other political parties be deemed to have ceased to be members of Jubilee Party and be removed from the register of members of Jubilee Party. Wanaunga semeni ndio.
In his
lakini na mimi niko na mpango ambaye nimewaeleza. Si kila mtu atakuja kweli. Si mnajua hakuna mashindano kati yangu na Uhuru Kenyatta.
4 years since the train left the station, what started as an agreement between two gentlemen has turned into a force that is weathering storms on its path to the intended destination. How time flies.
Event.
It's 4 years already.
Oh, 4 years already. And now looking on to 2022, the general election that is about 4 months away. See what happens next.
A lot is to be expected, but as you think about that, we are going to be taking a very short break. We are coming back with much more. Remember, very important conversation touching on the 2022 politics.
Absolutely. Why would somebody leave a corner office to go into politics? That's the conversation tonight with Ronald Karauri, an aspirant in Kasarani. You know him famously for Sport Pesa.
Do you have a news story to share with KBC? Get in touch swiftly on email news@kbc.co.ke or call 0723 892 654 or 0734 780 124.
Send it in the water, send it with the waves, send it on the tide, send it right away, send it in the music, you know just what I need. Is now the people can call it because the wicked are troublous days. Me up a man and him run down the world. Me up a man and him run down the girl. Me up a low we make him go on. Me up a low we make him go on.
Welcome back and thank you for staying with us. Now, at least 8 women have expressed interest in joining the country's gubernatorial race in the August polls. This is the highest express of interest since the onset of devolution. Our reporter Achola Simon spoke to, among others, a pioneer, legendary politician Phoebe Asio, and filed this report on the place of women in the country's political space in this week's segment of Kenya Decides 2022.
This is perhaps the clearest indication yet that there could be a paradigm shift in the coming election. Women finally coming out in their numbers to compete for leadership positions.
What I would love every younger woman coming after some of us who have cleared the path is not to be on the table and be the menu. Be on the table and make the menu.
This is a field that has over the years been populated by men. Many call it murky and not for the faint-hearted.
You know, you've said it, and it is true. I've met people in this area who really want to discuss the issue of leadership, political leadership especially. But hooliganism makes them say, no, Mama, I will not get into politics. And these are fantastic people, men and women, who can do very well if they got into those positions. But because of the fear of what might happen to them, they will not even get it.
Marian Keitanyi, former chief of staff in the office of the deputy president, breaks the glass ceiling, being coronated into the Nandi community leadership by the famed Talai elders.
We are coming to an election now, and in this election, if we can get more women into parliament, then we kill that problem that we have of the two-thirds majority.
Unajua hata desturi yetu ya Kinandi mbeleni, watu kina mama hawakuwa nakubaliwa kukaa kwa ile viti ya high table, mbele ilikuwa ni nyuma, lakini siku hizi ndio mimi nasema hiyo mila awache.
This in itself telling on the changing place of the Kenyan woman in the society. Such an event involving a woman last took place in 1975.
The more the women, the merrier, because there is less fighting and there's less war. But where there are only men, men tend to ease their tensions with physical fights. Women use the power of the mouth.
Achieving the two-thirds gender rule may seem easy on paper. However, on the ground, things are different, as told by legendary politician Phoebe Asio.
Political parties, who are now the main bodies that make it possible for men and women to get into leadership, are still not proactive about in bringing women in. If political parties would nominate women into the county assemblies and parliament, also, even the Senate, they would get there, and we would not even worry about the provision that have been made by our constitution to have not more than two-thirds.
Most of the times, if you put a single man versus a single woman into the same field, the woman gets a lot of mockery compared to the man. And if a woman sleeps a little, like a slip of a tongue or being seen in a place late in the evenings, what comes out of that is not as compared to what a man, could have received.
The creation of the position of women MP may have provided the best platform yet for women to showcase their leadership prowess. Has this been achieved? If not, what should be done differently?
And this women representative seat is very, very important. It's an affirmative seat. When you get into this seat, you get to learn the tricks of politics. You get to learn how to politic, and you also get to learn how to talk to your people, and also to understand the problems that people have that they need where they need assistance. So it is a very important seat. It's a very key platform, and I'm very happy that we got that seat for the women to be able to grow muscle. Because I've been on this seat for 9 years now. I am now ready to go for the governor's seat. Why? Because having served in the entire county, I know where all the problems are. I know the needs of the people. Governor Jamong may not be able to tackle all of them before his departure, but we also need to understand that the priorities of a man and a woman are different. What I'm going to do in the county, what will be a priority for me, may not have been a priority for Governor Jamong.
We really want men to support women. As women, we cannot make it alone. We need men to support women. So we have a program, and we have a beautiful lodge that will happen early next year, where we are bringing together men who have been there for women, supporting them from the family level, supporting them at the leadership level. They can give their resources, they can encourage women, they talk about women positively, and they are there. And these are the men we are calling champions for he, for she.
Women are also being accused of being their own worst enemies, and that despite their numerical strength, they rarely vote for one of their own. More women now want to be county bosses. Just how will the electorate respond to this? It is a wait and see as Kenyans make the decision on August 9th.
After producing the first female elected MP and the first female elected mayor, one would have expected the trend of electing women in Nyanza to continue. However, the cases have been far and wide in between, begging the question of exactly what is curtailing women's effort to scale political heights. Achola Simon, Prime Edition, Kisumu County.
Thank you very much, Simon Achola. The Kenya Special Operation Forces have strived to protect our borders from terrorists. But what exactly do they go through in their line of duty? Film producers in Kenya, through telling stories, have attempted to address challenges that our Special Operation Forces face in the line of duty. Such is the film Mission to Rescue, which our reporter Jacqueline Mashari reviews tonight in our weekly feature, Cinemas and Theatre.
Umejiuliza mbona si ufanya zile vitu tunafanya?
The film Mission to Rescue is set within the military camp along the Kenya-Somalia border. The Kenya Special Operations Forces, who are training for their next mission, received word that the Assistant County Commissioner and 2 other people have been abducted by the Al-Shabaab militia. Abdi Malik, one of the captives, lost his son Salim to the Al-Shabaab, and in an effort to save him, he vows to protect the Al-Shabaab returnees from persecution by the militia and members of the community.
Is to rescue the hostages. These are our targets.
Mission to Rescue stems from the story of a French woman who was kidnapped by the Al-Shabaab.
Film Mission to Rescue, it's talking about radicalization, terrorism, and the rescue mission. That is what our security organs go through as they rescue the hostages. This time when there is this French lady who was kidnapped in Lamu by the Al-Shabaab terrorists. She was taken to Somalia just before the Kenya Defense Forces was deployed to Somalia to launch Operation Leadership. That is what stimulated or inspired this story.
Produced by Kara Lois Wambui and directed by Gilbert Lucalia through Foxton Media Company, the film cast features Warsame Res, who is a Somalia model actor and voice-over artist.
I was the lead of the Al-Shabaab terror group. It was a funny role. I've learned a lot in that role. Being an actor, you need to walk in the shoe of someone who's a murderer, who's a dictator. So, and then there were different characters in the movie within Salim only. I always have to change from one gear to another, but it was really interesting and I loved it.
For this cast, they had really to undergo through a lot of training. This training actually involved even making them train like military, whereby they would wake up early as 4, start exercising, go to gym, so that they start having that, they start thinking like that soldier who can be trusted to go to a rescue mission.
The sheepdogs, and the wool.
Mission to Rescue was selected as the 2021 Kenya entry for the Best International Feature Film at the 94th Academy Awards.
So with the government having come up with some of these commissions, like Kenya Film Commission, who are supporting our film industry a lot. I think the future is bright.
The Mission to Rescue at the moment you can watch through there's a new platform called Base. It's a Kenyan streaming online platform called Base. You can watch it there with as less as 10 shilling. It's a game changer for the Kenyan film industry. It's a game changer for the Kenyan talents who are here, and it's a way to show that Kenyans can do a lot.
These are our targets, Ibril and Mohammed.
Under the leadership of Captain Baraza, the soldiers make attempts to rescue the abductees and capture or eliminate the enemy amidst tough conditions. But who can be trusted? Who is the real enemy? Will the mission to rescue succeed? Jacqueline Masharia for Cinemas and Theatre.
Ili
Ili kupata skiza tune ya Sitoki Jikoni kwenye simu yako, dial *811 *816 hash.
We, umeingiaje kwa hii jikoni?
Wewe achana bwana, wewe ujui tulitokea wapi? Acha hata wewe toka hapa.
Wacha upuzi yako hiyo. Toka nje bwana.
Hii jikoni niko hapa ndani. Na nitakaa hapa ili make decision.
Wacha maneno yako bwana, toka nje bwana. Wewe unajua tulijenga hapa watu wawili hii jikoni.
Wewe kwa wakati nilikuwa naandikishana contract ya kufanya kazi kwa hii jikoni.
Wewe toka bwana, wacha.
Kupata skiza tune hiyo ya Sitoki Jikoni, dial *811 *816 hash.
Are you an aspiring candidate in the upcoming general elections? Do you want your agenda and manifesto to reach your voters effectively? At KBC, we have the most comprehensive and credible online platform that has profiles of all prospective candidates. Log on to www.kbc.co.ke/2022 aspirants and let Kenyans know more about you, your past achievements, your manifesto, and your development agenda once you get elected to office. What's more, the website is easy to navigate. We will create your profile, post pictures and short videos with your campaign messages at affordable hosting fees. Log on to www.kbc.co.ke/2022 aspirants today and establish your brand authority as we lead towards the forthcoming general elections.
Wrong, Pinky? Why are you sweating so much? You all right? Pinky.
Would I care? Just leave the past in the past. Jack and I have got a son. He's 5.
Can't leave.
You are no longer my husband. I don't need to listen to you.
We'll never marry you, all right? Never, ever. Make yourself aware of that.
Face is so pretty.
What are you doing? You're gonna leave all your money to Pinky, am I right? How dare you? How dare you talk back, you—
Oh my God, honey!
Welcome back. Let's now take a look at the latest in the world of business. My name is Carol Jenga. Now, Kenya and Zimbabwe have signed 7 agreements touching on the tourism sector and the promotion of investment in a bid to increase the volume of trade between the two countries. President Uhuru Kenyatta has further said that Nairobi and Harare are working on reviewing their bilateral air services agreement, which will ease air travel between the two countries.
Kenya's exports to Zimbabwe stood at 12 billion shillings in 2020, while Zimbabwe's exports to Kenya were recorded at more than 50 billion shillings in the same year. President Uhuru Kenyatta says the government is keen on establishing a robust partnership with Zimbabwe, with a review of bilateral relations expected to boost trade activities between Nairobi and Harare.
Underpinning these actions are 7 memorandums of understanding that have been signed, which will go a long way towards deepening our diplomatic, economic, and people-to-people cooperation, and enable us to work together to address critical issues, in particular those related to youth employment and women empowerment.
Zimbabwean President Emmerson Mnangagwa, who jetted into the country today for a 2-day official visit, says the country is working on strengthening Zimbabwe's ties with Kenya to lessen the negative after effects of COVID-19 on its economy.
It is through the implementation of our MOUs, which have been articulated by my brother, that our economies will be transformed for higher standards of living for our people.
Mnangagwa further notes that Zimbabwe's relations with Kenya will ensure the two countries take full advantage of the continental and regional trading blocs. Talks between Zimbabwe and Kenya will also touch on strategies towards mitigating the adverse effects of climate change and how to emerge quickly from the economic woes presented by the COVID pandemic.
His Excellency President Kenyatta and I discussed the ways to take full advantage of the regional and the continental trading blocs to which our countries are members. This, in our view, will go a long way towards increasing the volume of bilateral trade for the realization of inclusive and sustainable economic growth.
Our technical teams are under instruction to expedite the implementation of the actions that have been agreed upon today, and we are very keen, Your Excellency, to build on this historic visit to establish a strong and vibrant partnership between our two countries.
Hibak Said for Prime Edition.
That marks the end of our event today. Kioria Breweries says it is ready to renegotiate with Kenya Revenue Authority to come up with a flexible tax payment plan. Kioria Chief Tabitha Karanja says the decision by Kioria advising commercial banks against lending to the brewer has crippled the company's operations. The company is also seeking an 18-month grace period before it can start clearing the tax arrears amounting to millions of shillings. Yesterday, the Kenya Revenue Authority in a readout accused the Naivasha-based brewer of failing to remit withholding tax and excise duty spanning more than 2 decades. Kioria, according to Kioria, owes the authority more than 22 billion shillings in unpaid tax and interest accrued over a period spanning more than 25 years. Kioria accused the brewer of failing to honor various tax payment agreements and engaging in endless court cases. But today, Kioria Chief Executive Tabitha Karanja has said her efforts to work on a flexible payment plan has failed.
Closed on 7th, opened on 22nd, and given a payment plan that you're supposed to honor by 30th of December. So before you produce your products, you take them to the market. It was on 27th. That's the time now the product could be on the table. So you only did 3 days. So working for 3 days, you could not raise the money or you could not honor the payment that they were requested, they'd put on the table. So talking to them and telling them we've only worked for 3 days, 4 days, we were shut again in January.
Kioria Breweries has also disputed the tax arrears owed to the taxman.
How much we owe Kioria is that 322, and out of the ADR, which we signed, I think in January, it is 500 million.
Speaking to the press, Tabitha has also requested Kioria to grant the company a grace period of 18 months to clear the taxes in arrears while paying the current taxes as they fall due.
What our company or the finance team had come up with is a 24-month payment plan. But Kioria now insisted on the 6 month. But because now of the timing of opening and closing, we could not meet that 6 months. So now what we are asking now, because of what has happened, closure, shut, since the December now, we are looking now for a grace period.
The Naivasha-based brewer says it has been unable to honor an earlier payment plan due to frequent interruptions from the taxman as well as COVID-19 pandemic. Kioria is also pleading with Kioria to allow the reopening of the plan to prevent looming huge job losses and permanent closure of the company. As we come to a close, Kenya is staring at high cost of living and slower economic growth this year due to the global economic and political shocks over the Russia-Ukraine crisis. You can find this story on our website at kbc.co.ke. You'll find that story and much, much more. My name is Carol Jenga. Have a good night.
Me have a man and him a run down the world. Me have a man and him a run down the girl. Me a go low and make him go on. Me a go low and make him go on.
DRC is a country endowed with arable lands, rich mineral deposits, and an insatiable market for goods and services required by the almost 100 million population. The Kenya and DRC governments organized a trade mission in partnership with Equity Group that saw more than 300 investors and entrepreneurs visit the vast country for 2 weeks. Watch this documentary on how the DRC is ripe for investment and trade on KBC Channel 1 on Friday the 11th of March from 6:35 p.m.
Oh, good evening. My name is Richard Munga with the day's sports, and we kick off the bulletin with a bit of football, whereby Football Kenya Federation Caretaker Committee Chairperson, that is retired Judge Aaron Ringera, has called on FKF branch officials to work closely with the committee in order to rescue the current football situation in Kenya. Speaking after the postponement of a stakeholders meeting called by the Caretaker Committee, Ringera urged players not to panic, saying the committee is working hard to resolve the issues.
The meeting was scheduled days after Sports Cabinet Secretary Amina Mohamed hinted at establishing a normalization committee to resolve the issues that led to Kenya's suspension.
Our intention was to brief them on the status of football since the establishment of the Caretaker Committee, to inform them about the impact and the effect of the FIFA ban and engage them on the way forward.
FKF Caretaker Committee had requested all branch officials to furnish them with compliance documents, including the EACC clearance of office holders.
Kenya is the home of champions of athletics. There is absolutely no reason why we cannot be the home of champions of soccer.
However, the meeting was postponed after only one branch official showed up. After calling off the meeting, Football Kenya Federation Caretaker Committee Chairperson retired Judge Aaron Ringera called on the football branch officials to unite and work with the committee in order to rescue the football situation in Kenya. The meeting will be scheduled to a later date. For Prime Edition Sports, I'm Daniel Mwendwa.
Now to other matters, whereby double world deaf athletics champion Simon Kibai has been named the captain for Team Kenya to this year's Summer Deaf Olympic Games that are scheduled for May in Brazil. The team will now commence training to adequately prepare for the games.
1,000 meters final during the trials at the Nyayo National Stadium. Other athletes selected in Kenyan squad include Ian Kahinga and Amos Kiplagat, who will take part in the men's 5,000 meters, while Sharon Bitok and Rebecca Matiko will line up in the women's 1,500 meters. Sarah Wangari and Gracie Kendagor will compete in the women's 5,000 meters. The team will go to camp on April 28th, with the games slated for 1st to 15th of May this year. For Prime Edition Sports, I'm Daniel Mwendwa.
Now back to a bit of football. Kakamega Homeboys extended the gap between them and second-placed Tusker FC to 9 points after a 1-0 win over Vihiga United. Former champions Gor Mahia, on the other hand, battled to a 1-1 draw against 2009 champions Sofapaka. Well, that's all the time we had for sports. Of course, see you tomorrow. I'm Richard Munga. Do have a good night, but don't go too far. JJ Kioria is on the other side of the studio with today's interview, so don't miss out. See you tomorrow.
Thank you very much, Richard Munga, for the sports. Right about now, it's time for Extra Mile. Let's talk about moving from the corner office to politics. And joining us tonight, like I told you, is Ronald Karauri. He's famously known for Sportpesa. Thank you very much, sir, for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
You know, first of all, so we build up to you're deciding to run for office. Who is Ronald Karauri, other than the guy we see in the corporate world?
Yeah, Ronald, I think SportPesa put me in a different light, so very few people know my history. Karauri Ronald is a married man, happily married, 3 kids. I grew up here in Nairobi. I went to school in Harambee Primary School, Mangu High School, University of Nairobi for engineering, where I did not finish the course. Started flying in Kenya Airways, did 11 years, 6 years as a co-pilot, 5 years as a captain. After which I now joined SportPesa as the CEO, which now I think the SportPesa story is the one that overshadows everything before that. So that's Ronald in a nutshell.
You were supposed to be an engineer, then ended up as a pilot.
Yes.
Why did you drop out?
So what happened is I started engineering. I was doing mechanical engineering at University of Nairobi. But then the opportunity, this is the first time Kenya was advertised for ab initio pilots. I had a passion for flying. I thought I wanted to fly. So I applied for that course, and luckily I was one of the few that was selected for the course. So I was in my 3rd year of engineering, so I had to choose whether to drop out of school in engineering and pursue the flying, which I did. And luckily I completed the course and got into Kenya Airways. So I started working in Kenya Airways, I think 2004. Yes.
And by the time you're leaving, you're a captain already?
Yes. Now, when we joined Kenya Airways, that was the time there was this big rapid expansion that KQ had. So there were a lot of aircrafts that were coming in. So going up the ranks in KQ was actually quite fast at the time. Now it has slowed down because, of course, the economic times. In fact, in 2006, KQ was one of the best performing airlines in Africa and the world. So there was a lot of aircraft acquisition, big shortage of pilots. So we moved up the ranks pretty fast. So after 6 years as a co-pilot, I had already flown the 737, the 767, and the 777 before I became a captain on the 737. So I think it was just being at the right place at the right time that made us move up very fast.
All right.
Yes.
Quite interesting. Let me take you back. When you say Harambee, growing up, I assume you mean the Eastlands Harambee?
Yes. Harambee in Buru. I don't know if you know it.
Yeah, I actually know it. So I'm just wondering, then, growing up, typically for Ronald Karauri, how was it growing up in Harambee?
It was okay. I think like any other, person in primary school, we used to walk to school. I was lucky. I think I did very well in school at the time because I after KCP, after our KCP results, I managed to go to Mangu High School, which is one of, at the time, even now, one of the best schools in Kenya. So it was just, I think, normal, nothing special about my life at the time. I think it's what many people have, but when you grow up, you realize that many people don't have that opportunity, and that's why I think even one of the reasons why I've gotten in, I want to get into politics now.
Flying a plane is almost everybody's dream, particularly for those who were even studying in aviation colleges. My question is, why would you quit flying planes to go into the world of betting?
Yeah, so I think at the time, and even when I made that decision, I know my parents are watching this. They were wondering whether I had gone crazy. But I had done a little bit of business before, and I realized that if you want to be successful in business, sometimes you have to yourself be part of the business. At the time, it was actually a very difficult decision because, yes, I was successful in flying. I was already a captain, and a young captain at that. But then, since I was venturing into this new project, I had to choose whether I wanted to be involved in it. And since I wanted it to be successful, I made that decision at the time that, okay, I've done the flying, let me now just venture into business and see what I can do. So, lucky for me, not really lucky because it was a lot of hard work, but it worked out. We built a successful business. But at the time, when deciding what to do, whether to move from flying to business, it was actually a very difficult decision. Yes.
And then you build a very successful business. Then 3 years ago, the business is almost brought to its knees. What was happening then?
Yeah, the SportPesa story would need its own documentary.
We'll cover that another day, but in a nutshell.
Yeah, so SportPesa grew up fairly quickly, one of the fastest growing businesses actually in the world. I think we had tapped into an area many people had not seen. We were the ones who invented betting via SMS. So it grew pretty fast, a lot of effort in the marketing side. Most of the decisions we made with our marketing style in terms of even sponsorships and our CSRs. So we grew very fast. I think the growth was also, a bit it was too fast, maybe, even in terms of the regulation and everything else. We were pushing for regulation at the time, but I think we got some people in government who could not see where we were heading as a business. So I think we got into our hurdles. Our license was not renewed. But I think where we are right now, because we're operating at the moment, we are clearing those issues that we had, and hopefully it'll grow to the size that it was before.
I'm sure these are allegations you've responded to.
Yes.
But very quickly, there was the aspect of, what was flying around.
Yes.
KRA, in terms of the amount of money they were asking from SportPesa. Number two, the SportPesa was being used as an avenue for money laundering. How would you respond to the two?
Yeah, now, I think our industry was very misunderstood at the time, I think. But as I've always said, we've never owed any money to KRA. Of course, there were allegations, but there's a procedure in the Tax Procedures Act. And I remember at the time what I was asking for is a chance to follow the Act. And that's what we've been doing from then till now. And as you've seen, the story of taxes is also, we're following the procedure, and we have dealt with KRA the proper way using the Tax Procedures Act, and nothing has come out of that. The money laundering aspect was, I think, a creation of several, I don't know what to call them, but really not even there, not the normal media. Because remember, SportPesa only deals with mobile money and bank accounts. So all our transactions are visible to anybody. You go, if you want to find out about all our transactions in M-Pesa, you just go to Safaricom, which transactions end up in the banks. So all the money, it has a trail. So the allegations of money laundering were completely unfounded, and even up to now, you can see that they are baseless, completely baseless.
At this time when your business is almost on its knees, do you regret quitting being a captain?
No, I really do not. I think everything is a learning process. And that's why I think I think many people say I have a skin made out of steel, because even when I was in Kenya Airways, I was part of the pilots union. We had our battles with management. I was almost getting into trouble because of that job I was doing, defending pilots. Then I get into SportPesa. We ran into all these troubles. So through all that, I've learned a lot. I am a professional of the Employment Act and the Labor Relations Act because of the union. Then coming to SportPesa, I am a professional of the Tax Procedures Act, Income Tax Act, all these acts of parliament that have gotten me to learn so many other things. And that's why it actually takes me to believe that I'm the best suited person to run for the office that I'm looking for right now.
All right, let's go there. From your corner office, running a successful business, to politics, it's a mucky, dirty world. Why would you want to go there?
Yeah, and I think it's good you've called it like that, because you call it a murky, dirty world. But I believe that one of the main problems we have as Kenyans is that the people we put into those positions of politics are completely inexperienced, meaning to me in that they've not done anything successfully before they get into politics. I think what we should be doing is encouraging more successful businessmen, more successful lawyers, or whoever is very good in their field to get into politics, because that's the only way to change lives. In our CSR projects at SportPesa, we've walked around. We've done sports. More recently, we've done hospitals. And the more you walk around the country, you see the problems that Kenyans are living in. These problems can only be solved through our politics. And that's why, even for me, I'd like to encourage more Kenyans, more successful Kenyans, because my CV in terms of what I've done in business and even flying makes me best suited to politics. Whether it's dirty or mucky, I think we're the ones who need to change it. It will be dirty for us as we get in, but when we get into politics and we transform it, it's only us who can do it. Let's transform it so that more people come in and change the narrative. Because if we keep doing what we've always done, if we keep selecting the same politicians into that dirty, mucky world, then it will never change. Yes.
Kasarani is an enormous constituency in Nairobi County.
Huge.
And obviously it has its own challenges.
Correct.
But what would be your first priorities if you were to be elected the MP for Kasarani?
That's a good question, because when you go into Kasarani, and it's not only Kasarani, but you realize that even some of the fundamental basic rights for Kenyans are not being fulfilled. Kenyans have a right to health care, education, clean water, sanitation, education. All those things are not being met currently. So for me, my main priority is, first of all, to raise the standards of all the people of Kasarani to at least meet those basic human rights before transforming it into what Kasarani deserves to be. Kasarani hosts the biggest stadium, I think, in Kenya, East and Central Africa. Most of the games, international sports, are all held there, but there is not a single hotel in Kasarani. Most of the youth there are jobless, you know. It's a really sad state of affair. I met some women who were saying even before they get to the point of sending their children to school, whereby they don't even have the money to send the children to school, they have to first even think about where to get the food to feed the family. So we are in a situation in Kenya whereby the problems we've had since 1963, we have a lot of Kenyans still suffering the same problems. So my main priority, first of all, is to raise those standards so that all my constituents in Kasarani at least have that basic dignity of human beings, and then from there we see how we can develop to the next level. We have big problems in Kamulu, Ruai, no roads. Education is a problem. Everyone wants bursaries. Those are the things we need to tackle first of all. Yeah.
Quite interesting. As we wind up,
yes.
When you announced your decision that you would be running for elective office and said Kasarani, you did not say your party before, but already now your party is known.
Yes.
Jubilee Party.
Jubilee
Under
Party.
Azimio.
Yes.
Why Jubilee?
Jubilee, you see, the party, and I always tell people when I went, even when I go to Kasarani, what I say is, you see, people make the party. The party, Jubilee Party, has very good goals and visions and objectives. And I think some of the people in Jubilee Party are the ones who have not managed to fulfill those objectives. I feel I align with that vision, I align with those objectives, and I feel I'm one of the people who is going to actually achieve the objectives of Jubilee as it was formed and the vision. So that is why it's Jubilee Party, and I think I'm going to...
But you know one element of Jubilee is out.
One element?
As it was formed. You say
yes,
as it was formed.
Yeah, correct. Now, yeah, I understand. But you see, as I say again, we're the ones to transform this thing. Okay. If you see even the new parties that are being formed, that other branch that has broken off of Jubilee, it's the same politicians.
Right.
You see, so we are the ones to come in and transform. And whatever objectives we have as Jubilee, we are the ones who need to fulfill them.
All right. Yes. Thank you very much, Ronald Karauri, and we wish you all the best.
Thank you very much.
As you run for office, and obviously hope that once you get into the politics, you will not become dirty as the politics is. By the way, do you love reggae?
I love reggae.
Which song do you love?
Bob Marley songs, all Bob Marley. I think maybe I'm old school, but yeah, I'm a reggae guy.
Reggae is up next, so we want to put a cap on Prime Edition, but of course Serfine is on the other end, so we'll be putting a cap. Serfine? Well, clearly this is where we have to end it up. I'm saying bye-bye on behalf of myself and Serfine. Good night.
FM ilayska ummadda.
What's wrong, Pinky?